What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Cloud Conversations. Let's just jump right to this. This is Loriana Mercado, aka Coco.
Harvey Banks, you know what I do?
All right, let's get right to it. All right,
So
my
what you want
man.
to talk about today?
Oh, man, life, times, the cloud. Get some conversations in. It's been
I
about a
like that.
week since we last did this,
Yeah.
and you know, it was nice. Actually, I actually listened to our last podcast all
hmm
the way through, and that was interesting. Just to be able to hear your thoughts and your vision um, recorded. You kind of pick
Yes.
up little things, and that was very intriguing. Just because now I know what I sound like and what I little habits that I actually find myself doing.
Yeah.
And so,
It's it's funny too because you never. This is a different medium to hear yourself in. You know what I mean? I've been
yeah,
doing it for a little while, so I'm used to it at this point. So for me, it's just like turn it on and go. But
right,
it's always interesting that first time. Now the interesting thing is going to be to see if you go from how you sounded on the first one. If you try to be different this time, I'm going to call you out.
oh yeah, you have to.
That's gonna be the funny thing, It's being
And
like,
what?
oh shit, I don't want to say this word too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm gonna definitely keep it 100. It's myself. I'm gonna die one day, so I say fuck it. That's how I
Yeah.
like to live my life. But it's just the medium of all this is definitely intriguing. So
I used to say a lot and like I didn't realize it. I think I said it when I was talking like regular conversation as well.
mhm.
And when I first started doing podcasts, like I was like so excited that I would record a podcast and then I'd listen back and I'd be like, why the fuck do I keep saying And I'd just be like, yeah, so and that was one thing that I did like force myself to stop doing.
Right.
So like you're gonna find little things like that as you get more comfortable doing it. It's just always funny to go back and like a year from now you'll be able to go back and listen to like the first episode and you gotta
Yeah,
crack up,
exactly.
trust me. It's funny. How was your week
No.
though? Or your weekend rather?
Weekend's great. So, I work at a restaurant on the weekends, and the more times I have more times to myself, which is Monday through Thursday in my book,
hmm
I don't look forward towards the weekend like I used to. And probably because that's when I'm really clocking into to a 9 to 5 for somebody else's on somebody else's behalf.
Yes.
I mean, I love customer service. I love talking to people, and I wouldn't say I love serving, even though I kind of do, but I don't like being a servant. And I almost want to distinguish that they're two different things. I love serving people, but I do not like being a servant.
Yes.
And being a restaurant server, it's a fine line, I believe. I'm there for people, I'm helping them to deliver experience, but I'm also fucking being the person like, hey, can I get more ranch? Oh, right away, sir. And so it's definitely a fine line. So it's a love hate relationship.
hmm
But honestly, it came and it left. And I'm kind of glad it's over, honestly. And, you know,
Now how are things out there? I know you I think the fires are pretty much handled, right?
yeah, it's pretty much handled. There's
So is it
pockets
back to
of
business as usual out there, or is it slow?
it's very slow. A lot of businesses shut down. The town next to mine, got completely burnt down. And I think it's still a work in progress. I'm still finding that people are still coming out of the house for the first time, even with COVID.
hmm
And maybe the fires just woke them up and be like, man, I just need to get out there and experience some shit before life
Yeah,
happens.
I think everybody's just getting fatigue of being like in the house. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to kind of get back to. I don't want to say normal because I don't think that's ever coming back like that. But
Right.
you want to get on to the next phase, if that makes sense, right? It's like if we have to live our lives differently because of COVID or because of wildfire or whatever it may be, let's just get to that final phase. Let's get there. Let's just start living it. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's the whole thing. It's like just you can't have fear because you know, I think nature's always gonna win, whether it's fires or some fucking disease spreading through immune
Yeah.
systems and shit like that. It's kind of like you just have to keep going. And at least COVID helped me, enabled me to have the just working on the weekends, and it
hmm
woke me up to the sense of the rest of the week. I have to make it for myself now, because with the craziness in the world, I think we have to just be more self-reflective. Be like, I got to do something for me, and I
Yeah.
think that's been a nice awakening.
Do you change your mindset when you go to work on the weekends? Like, because I know, so I talk to you, we talk all the fucking time, but like,
Hmm.
it's always we speak so freely and so easily because we both have the same entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Right.
And it's I don't know, hearing you say you dreaded going into there, do you, when you go to work, do you feel like this isn't right? You know what I mean? Or is your mindset like, I do this so it allows me to do the other things? Like, the job doesn't own me, I'm choosing to do it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like,
It does make sense.
uh
So it's before, when I was working about 6 days a week,
hmm
eventually got to that point. And I've noticed each job I've accumulated over the years, there'd be a certain breaking point. So where I developed the mentality of like, oh, this is not for me. And this started to turn into that. And that's why I just told management, look, you had me on the most busy days, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, to work in this restaurant. But now when I do go to the work just on the weekends, it slightly kicks in. But once I do show up, I know I'm very good at what I do. And
hmm
so it's just no sweat because time just goes by fast. And it is decent money, like, and it
oh yeah,
helps pay
yeah.
for some stuff. So that kind of helps as well. But it drives me more to want to make the rest of the week more worthwhile so I can stop doing that. So it's definitely a means to an end.
Yeah. Now, does it? You say you always get to that point. Does it? Is it the actual job, like what the job is, or is it just the fact that you don't own it? Like, can the job be whatever?
I've
Because
thought
for
about
me,
that.
it's more that, right?
Yes.
I could literally draw up what I do at a job and go and do that job. But if I don't own it, I
Mhm.
will always feel temporary. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
Always. Like, and it don't matter. You could give me the easiest fucking job in the world. Just go and sit here and watch sports. And I'm gonna be like, eventually I'll be like, man, this is temporary because this is not what I'm meant to do because it isn't mine. And I didn't know if that was like a me specific thing because that's not always a good thing, right? Because like I've bounced around in my past, I bounced around jobs and shit based off of that. And
Yeah.
you start to question yourself like, oh shit, is it that I just don't want to work? It's like, no, I'm willing to put in the work, just not for y'all.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes to. The last conversation that we had talking
hmm
about, this 9 to 5 era and how do we value our time kind of dives deep into the same thing. It's like before it was like, I don't want to work for anybody. And then I was like, well, am I lazy? But then when you feel like you can create for yourself and it comes to fruition, it comes
hmm
alive, then you're like, wow, why am I working for somebody else? And so that kicks in. I do not like going to work knowing my boss rarely shows up. He owns 7 different businesses. One is that restaurant, and he's sitting at home in his nice big house drinking wine with his wife and kids.
Hmm.
And I'm like, huh, I don't want to be here. So I think we only have a job
But I have a
to make
okay.
money.
So you don't. I was thinking when you kind of played his scenario out.
Hmm.
Do you want to be him? Even like, see, the scariest thing for me is that like that sounds good, right? Don't get me
Right.
wrong. I do want to be him as far as like owning your businesses and letting them work for you.
Hmm.
But like, there's a part of me that I enjoy working my businesses as well. You know what I mean? Like, I almost don't want something that I can just set and forget. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's that sound. I know that sounds crazy, and that's who wouldn't want that, right? I do want passive income, but it's like for me, if I feel like if I'm not touching it regularly, not it doesn't have to be like I'm there, I'm the nigga serving people every now and then, but like I would have to pop in and out.
Oh yeah,
Does
definitely.
that make sense? Like pretty regularly, I would think.
Right.
I
But
like to
let's
work. That sounds crazy, but like you know what I mean? And
that
especially
is
when I own it, you know what I mean?
that does sound fucking crazy because I'm slightly the opposite in the sense of if we grew up without having a job, let's just say in the planet Earth, nobody was required to work to live or survive. Would
Mhm.
you still want to work? And I guess it's hard to question because we really wouldn't know because the times, it's hard to
Yeah, and
be
it's
there.
also defining the work, right? Because
Hmm.
like I think I maybe and to take you I do sports, you know that. So to take it back to a sport thing, right? It's yeah, like you see your top athletes in the world and they still spend millions and millions of dollars on coaches. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like just I don't know. Let's take LeBron James for instance, right? He spends the most money on his body and on shooting coaches, and he
Right.
does a mental health coach and everything, right? Every
Yeah.
single year he's trying to get better, and it's like he doesn't have to. Like you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, he doesn't. He could walk away today and be considered one of the greatest, or he could just not do that stuff and it still function. You know what I mean? But I believe there's something in him that's like I kind of enjoy doing the work. Like I enjoy taking myself from one place to another, physically and
R-
mentally, and I think that's what it is. Like I just like it's the same thing with my entrepreneurial stuff. I like seeing $1 turn into $2. I don't give a fuck what it is. I think it's like it's one of my things. You know what I mean? Like
So the
I just
passion
love that
wouldn't be
shit.
the work. The passion would be your compounding money or interest. Would you say that is?
Yeah, that's no, yeah. It's I think it's parallel. It's the yeah, and for me, it's about equal as both, right? But I to me, the work is how is the method. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a genius that has instinctively figured out this thing to consistently progress without doing the work. You know what I mean? Because like, and when I say the work, it doesn't mean like I want the people to know, but I want the people to know like we're not saying like you got to clock in somewhere. I'm saying like I need to build this website and I don't fucking know how to build websites. So the work is I'm literally Googling how do I get my header black? You know what I mean? The work to me is having to figure out things on my own. And that's what I mean by the work. But
Right.
it's it's frustrating in the moment, but it's worth it. And I kind of enjoy it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm probably just rambling. I don't really give a fuck at this
No, it
point,
kind of
but
makes sense
I
because I
liked where
think,
you took it. You know what I mean? It like where
yeah,
it took me, the conversation rather.
yeah, I think we just have to change up the word work. I think
Yeah.
everyday people hear work, it's like if you ask a stranger in the street, hey, do you want to go to work today? Or somebody's waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 9,
Hmm.
it's like, where are you going? They're like, going to work, man. And so it's a stigma of like nobody wants to go to work. But then with you, it's almost like we should be asking, hey, if you found your passion, would you just do that every day and then all of a sudden find out a way to get paid for it? So I
And,
mean, we can sit at
uh-huh.
home and create a website and do this. I think there's a different line, and I think you found your little outlet that most people haven't, and it just strives.
So I think another interesting thing I was just thinking about when you were saying that is I think it also matters how you were introduced to the word work, right?
Hmm.
So like if you say you grew up in a household with your mom and your dad worked at a factory and your mom worked at the same factory or anywhere else, wherever, right? And dad dreaded going to work every day, right? Like he was pissed off because he had to go to work or he just doesn't like his fucking job, but it pays the bills, right? I
Right.
think if that's your first introduction to the word work or what work means, then absolutely it's gonna carry negative connotations, right? But for me, the first instance of the word work came from sports. As a youth, like the coaches would say, like you have to put in the work, right? So
Hmm.
work was never when I would hear the word work or what I correlate the word work to is never, ah fuck, I gotta get up and go to the factory and do the same thing over for 8 hours. It's like, okay, nah, I just gotta dig in. That's what it means to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
there
gotta
you go.
dig in.
Yeah, I love that because, because you did play basketball for a couple
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and so it's like, man, if somebody say, hey, you could be really good at basketball and you put in the work and you get there,
Yeah.
it's so interesting that doesn't really get instilled in us at an early age. It's almost
Mhm.
like you have to have your own hope and wishes, be like, this is what I'm going to become. I'm going to work hard at it to make it a reality, such as LeBron James, because now it's not work or a job, it's his passion from who he is, and now he's just getting it done. That's just
And
interesting.
that's perfect that we go there. So the conversation that you text me about, right? Um, let's go into that a little bit because it's interesting. Now, I don't what's the name of the day that today is? What's the specific holiday name?
So today is, October 20th is National Youth Confidence Day. It's where we want to encourage us to connect and inspire today's youth for tomorrow's success.
So as when you were a child, even if looking back now, you would say they were your role models, but you didn't know it at the time. Like, who were or did you have one specific role model?
Hmm. Did I have a role model back in the day? I'm currently 33 now. I would
Mhm.
say I actually didn't. In my eyes, that I remember currently, just because it was almost like I was going through the process. So when I was 8 years old, I was adopted by a white German family, and we moved out of the New York City, just about like an hour and a half away. And so it was kind of this snowball effect, and it was beautiful that this family took us underneath their umbrella to guide us for the rest of our lives. But even then, I was still stuck. I've always been a thinker, kind of just lost in this wonderment of who, what, where, why. And so, and then moving to Indiana, I was kind of just snowball effect into this is what I'm doing. This is school. School's over. Play basketball. The end. And
Mhm.
so, but that's also when I started drinking a lot and smoking a lot. And so I was always there, but never there. And so with the role model, I'd have to say it actually came within the last, year or two, when I was fully immersed by myself out in Oregon currently. And then who aligns with my thinking that can help it amplify, that inspires me to kind of want to be them. And I thought about three different people that kind of done that. And the first one would probably be well, Nikola Tesla, who's the famous inventor for alternating currents and wireless power transfers. Uh, that sort of thinking always ignited me to think, wow, like we could have flying cars and we can have all this crazy futuristic shit. And I love the wonderment in that. And the second person would be Gary V, or Gary
Mhm.
Vaynerchuk, and I label him as the doer. Especially from New York, he had a vibe and a way he was talking to me while I was listening to his either audiobooks or just listening to him speak. And it was more like, shut the fuck up, get shit done, do this from A to B. And I was like, yeah, that makes complete sense, especially the way he was coming from. Start
Right.
small, and that small increments grew into bigger increments. And so to me, he is still one of my little role models, as in like, get shit done, the doer. And the last
What?
person I would say
Uh-huh.
would be Elon Musk. Would be like the thinker in my vision, somebody I could relate to, was, creating this extravagant ideas, putting to the action to effect. No matter how crazy he sounds or what he's doing, he's getting shit done. And plus, he's going to space. I've always been a space fanatic, and I
Yeah.
know at some point I'm going to the fucking moon or Mars or outer space or something like that. So space travel's been like that. So I'd say those top three people right there
Okay.
that
And
that got to
these are
transform my life.
but these are mostly they have. So do you still look to them when you look to them as role models now? Like, do you look at them? Is it more of a practical way or kind of an overall sense of it's possible because like I imagine I understand the Gary V thing being it's more practical actions because he's fucking phenomenal with that, right?
Right.
And that can be an everyday thing. But the Elon Musk, he's interesting to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my favorite story about him has nothing to do with him like going to space or creating these Teslas and all this amazing. Well, it does, but it doesn't. It's after the sale of PayPal, right?
Right.
He takes all of his money, all of it, and throws it into Tesla.
Oh
So
yes.
much so that he had to borrow money for rent.
Hmm.
Like, imagine getting a 8-figure check. 8-figure check. And then within a year of that, having to borrow money for rent. You want to talk about betting on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's the
Exactly.
people that put their fucking money where their mouth is. Oh, they always do it for me, right? Because like
Yes.
that always inspires me. Because there've been days, there's been a lot of days where I've been like, I could just go get a job. I should probably just go get a job. Or I could spend this last $40 I got on this website, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it always tends to work itself out. But like he's one to me that's like it's the overall inspiration for me. But like I categorize those people as like inspirational. And it's funny because growing up, role model to me was like somebody that I wanted to be, right? So when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I think about like I it's gonna sound crazy, but there was a specific guy that growing up I wanted to be this guy. Excuse me. And his name was Tucker, actually. And so I don't know what Tucker's actual profession was because I was a child. Let's just say this. He was rumored to pimp. He was rumored to be a drug dealer. He was also a deacon at the church. But Tucker owned a building, right?
Right.
It was a nightclub called Tucker's Place. And I'm a kid, right? But all the adults went to Tucker's Place. And every time he had an event, it just seemed like it was a special event, right? I don't know because I was a fucking child. But to me, Tucker was the coldest because he always had suits and he drove a Cadillac, right? And like he was just so smooth. He had the gold tooth in the front. And when he would be like, we'd be at the park playing ball and Tucker pull up and talk to you, like he just talked to you like a pimp, right? And I was
Right.
like, everybody knew him. And you know he's getting money because he owns this building and shit, right? So I'm like, I know he's getting money and everybody knows him. And it's everybody, it seems like everybody respect him, but I don't know how he gets his money. And that's intriguing to me, right? And I was like, yeah, that's gonna be me, right? I'm gonna own the hottest club here in the city and stuff. Just little stuff like, and it sounds crazy, but like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like Tucker one day. Not knowing how Tucker got to where he was. And not that I was gonna do the same thing to get the money, but like I was like, yeah, I want to have enough money to do things my own way. Because
Definitely.
that's what Tucker represented to me. Like he do it his own way. And to me, yeah, like that was, I mean, I had athletes I looked up to and stuff too, but like I never was like, hey, I want to be Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, shit, I'm probably not that good at baseball like that. So that's not possible. He's cool though. Like I was never like, I want to be Michael Jordan. I'm probably not gonna be 6'8".
Yep.
I was a realist as a child. So I was like, yeah, nah, it's not gonna happen. But Tucker, I can pimp some hoes. To this day, I
Bada
can
bing,
do
bada
that.
boom. Yeah.
And it's like, hey, maybe this is my calling. And so I used to, like I said, crazy, but I used to look up to him
No,
for
not
that.
crazy at all. It makes sense. You see somebody as a young child who embodies everything that you want to be and portrays. And I think that eludes confidence. I think when we see confidence as a young child, an
Yeah, that's a good
adult who
word.
has a certain
Yeah,
swagger to them, you're like, yes, he's
yeah,
different from all these other so-called adults. This motherfucker got some
yes.
swagger confidence, and I want to be that.
How do we put that? Can you, do kids have that to look up to now? Do you know? Like, these kids seem different, man. Like I know as we get older, we become like old guys that say, yo, this generation's crazy. But this generation is different, man. They look up to people their own age.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
crazy to me. It's not crazy. It's crazy to me because like I think this might be the first time in history that it's that way, right? But the people that they follow and watch and look up to the most are people that are their own age. My fear is that might leave them stagnant. You know what I mean?
Hmm. What's
Like,
so? Explain that.
so if you say you grew up, we grew up in the 90s, right? And let's say you had any kind of hoop dreams at all, and you wanted to be Michael Jordan, right?
Right.
Your dream wouldn't be dashed until a minimum of high school, maybe. Why? Because Michael Jordan's in the NBA, and obviously you're not going to be Michael Jordan today. You're 8. So you could still strive for this thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's still possible. And it's going to be possible for a long time to dream.
To
If
grow
you're
into it.
if you're 11 and you're looking up to this other YouTuber who's 12 and he's got 20 million followers, but that's what you want to do, you feel like you've lost already. Why? He's already done it. You know what I mean? So I wonder if they question themselves like, well, I mean, maybe he's better than me. I couldn't do it. I'm 11 and he's 11 and I started mine when we were both 10 and now you know what I mean? Like they, I don't know. Does that make sense at all?
It makes sense, but I don't talk to like a lot of 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds. I do have a niece and nephew and kind of see what they follow and who they follow and why. And
Mhm.
it's definitely a lot of like, their own rap artists in today's era and also some YouTube celebrities. And that's what they'll say like, oh, he's a YouTube guy, this and that.
Yes.
So I would like to think it would be more of a competition. So I think even as we get older, I think you're so right. Our role models are going to get younger and younger than us. And like we're at that era that we got born that we can look at these great figures changing the world or who inspired us to be greater than ourselves. And now these kids are having their generation and their same age making
Yeah.
these big differences and making money. I almost hope that it would bring a competitive attitude to them. Like, fuck, I'm 18. This dude did it 17. I have to let me get this shit by 19 and see what I can do and step up my game rather than
See,
just feeling lost.
to some of them, I'm sure it will. But when we're talking 17 and 18,
Hmm.
my opinion on that is by age 14, you are who you are. You can grow and evolve, but as far as your molding of the baseline of the DNA of who you are and how you carry yourself is in there already. If you're not a competitive person at 14, chances are you're not going to be competitive at 18 and 19, right? Not that you won't be successful in them, like,
Right.
but like
I'm not sure.
your temperaments, your temperaments are usually developed by then. I got a million fucking kids in my house at all times, right? So
Right.
it's interesting to me is I get to see the differences and the similarities in them, right? And the majority of these kids aren't competitive.
Right.
That's not just like the YouTube shit and sports. I coach basketball. All we have to, the biggest struggle coaching middle school basketball is getting them to compete because
Hmm.
they think they're better than they are. And once they get on the court, if that isn't replicated, like if it's not as easy as they thought it should be,
They give up.
it's over, bruh. It
Hmm.
is over. On the flip side of that, the teams I had when they would blow teams out, oh, they would blow teams out, right?
Yeah.
But their confidence was their confidence and their level of effort is all based on what the if the results matches what they thought was going to happen. 2-3 years running, I had the best team in our whole league. All you had to do to beat us was get an early lead. Get an
All
early
right.
lead. If you don't get an early lead, my team is going to run you out of the building. But all you gotta do is get an early lead.
And that makes sense. Get an early lead. You just destroy the mentality. Like, hey, you might have a chance, and the other team's like, not today. We're up
And they
by fucking
they
15
stop
points.
competing.
Mm,
And they don't like tough. The kids I have, they don't mind the tough coaching just because they know me, because they grew up with my son, and you know what I mean?
right.
But most of these kids, they would not make it in sports as the sports that we came up with, like the style of coaching, right? And I don't even know that style of coaching was right. For the record, I'm not a super yeller and things like that. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
But
it
like,
was definitely tough love, and then
dude, let me tell you, tell a kid right now, hey, you're not as good as you think you are, that he might quit sports in general.
Mhm.
Like that could be a wrap. They're just different. It's just different. And I wonder, I just don't know. I don't know why the change and where it came, and is it good or is it bad, right? Because
I
like,
think to me, I think it's good because I think with kids seeing role models their certain age, I think within the next 100 years, it's just going to get younger and younger. And if it's not basketball, they might pivot towards a YouTube or be like, no, I'm really good at gaming. Now,
yeah,
back in the day, if you were good at gaming and saw a role model as a quote gamer, that to me that'd be like a harder outlet to get into. I think
oh
kids
yeah,
today have so many more options rather than even taking competitive out of it. You don't have to I guess chase your dreams or something like that. But I think it's fascinating. I think we're just getting rid of the old and coming in with the new. And I think kids are becoming more evolutionary conscious than we were. And I think that's why it's going to change the game. I think that's why I believe it's for the better because
yeah.
it's going to create something else we have yet to even thought about or think about yet.
See, all I ever want for like from my kids, I don't really care what you do. It's just you're gonna do it, right? As long as it's what you love to do and you're gonna try at it. I don't want, my only rule is I don't want to, I'm not gonna care about it more than you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So if it's
definitely.
basketball, you're gonna have to put in the work to show me you care about it. You care about it, I care about it. If you don't, I don't either. No hard feelings. We just not something that we do, right? It's just it seems, and I bet the generation before us would say the same thing about us, right?
I
Like
think
just
exactly it. Yeah,
I'm quite sure
exactly
they
it.
would. It's just for the sake of conversation, this is kind of where we're at, right? The
Mhm.
evolution of um even though anything is possible, I tell the kids that all the time. You can be whatever you want to be. If you want to be a gamer, like you said, that wasn't really possible when we were growing up. It just wasn't. Now, not only is it possible, it's probable. And it's a low barrier of entry. Like
Yeah,
you can do it with an audience in an hour. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's possible.
it's
It's
profitable
real.
too.
Bruh, thank you. So now it's like, okay, cool. Do that's what you want to do, you can do that. Everything is possible. It's just I question the ambition. You know what I mean? Because
Kind of.
I I see it in these kids every day. And a lot of them want things that they're not willing to work for. And I'm the best person to teach them that you're going to have to do some kind of work for whatever you want. Because I feel like over my lifetime, I had some phenomenal ideas
Hmm.
that I just gave up on.
Right.
I had some great things that I gave up on. So when I tell them, no, 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 you have to put in the work, I'm not telling them from the mountaintop. I'm telling them from, listen, if I could take the trail again, I would have done this, right? Trust me, this would, and it's just like, it doesn't click. It doesn't click. It's almost like they think they really expect to turn on YouTube and get 1 million views from the jump. Like 100%. I'll use one of the kids that lives in my house. He's so sensitive that he would be so embarrassed if I said his name, so I'm not going to do that, right?
Okay.
We'll call him Jimmy.
His real name's Jimmy too. Got him.
I
We'll call him Jimmy.
ain't gonna do it like that.
Chumby slick with it.
But no, so Jimmy is 11. No, Jimmy's 10. He's gonna be 11.
Hmm.
He has wanted a YouTube since I've known him, right? And so 3 years he's been talking about starting this YouTube channel. And then his younger brother tells me, oh, he had a YouTube channel. I'm like, what? Yeah, he's got one. And I'm like, Jimmy, did you post a video? Like, you got, let me go send the link. I want to go look at it or whatever. Nah, I took it down. What do you mean you took it down? The video or nah, the whole account. I just deleted it. Why? It didn't get that many views. I said, you didn't go viral on your first video, so you shut your whole account down? Yeah, it was just it. Nobody really watched. He was dead serious, bro.
Right. Now, let me say this on behalf of Jimmy, and
Yeah.
it's going to connect it too. So, I think kids have realized they can work a lot less than we had to back in the day. And granted, we're still young, but I think kids have to work a lot less today to make money, ends meet. So, if there's so many different avenues to really make money, I think the ambition goes slightly away. But then again, when I was 10, I did not even start a YouTube channel or start a blog or start a journal. And he did, even though he deleted it. To me, that's a huge growth from where we were at 10 years old. And so I think the mind is so different. Even if he like tried different things, I think the kids' minds already know there's a payoff a lot quicker with a lot less work. And I think they're just figuring out how to work smarter, not harder. And he's like, well, this didn't go viral, delete. But his next video, if he's got some brain chemistry in there, it might if he wants it to. And he's just like, or today's work, it's like, why don't you work hard at this? And what does that mean? That means, hey, being consistent by posting videos and posting this. But okay, me and you talking, is that hard work?
No, I don't mean. I think again we're crossing up our definitions of work, right?
No, I'm from the kids' point
From
of
the
view.
kids' perspective, I got you. Okay, yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I try not to judge. We make jokes in this house because that's just what growing up with a black dad is like, right? So I hit him with the jokes all the time. But I don't know what the fuck these kids is going through, if I'm being honest. So like, I also think they are dealing with way more bullshit than we had to. You know what I mean? Especially the ones that have access to internet and friends all the time. Because like before, if you were the weird kid and like you didn't really have a lot of friends, you got a break in the summertime. You got a break on the weekends. Why? You didn't see people. You didn't have to go to school and see anybody. Nowadays, man, it's like the bullshit could just be following them. So I never really take what they have for granted. I make jokes just because it's what I do. But the psyche of these kids these days, oof. You could write 30 books on it, bro. And I don't know if any of them would get it right. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. I think kids are a lot smarter than we were. And even now, being at our age, I think they're a lot smarter with a different flavor. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist and astronomer. And I remember looking up how much they make a year. And I'm like, ooh, because it's always about money. First, passion. And then after that, well, is this sustainable? Will I be able to create a future with this? And then, like, I hear side talks from people that are older than me, like, ooh, that doesn't make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize it's a money game that I'm trying to set up my future for, at least back in, the 90s and early 2000s. And I'm like, oh, is this what it's about? And then I think in today's age, even just uploading a YouTube video, I think that's whatever you want to do, it's possible now, because now it's infinite money in any different channels because people are uploading their stuff to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think we were given the opportunity at all. I mean, we were. We just was not in that game.
Yeah, we weren't, and like you just said, I don't even know how we could end up reacting exactly the same way that they are. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to say that I've got it figured out. It's just it does intrigue me. It does intrigue me, and I live in a constant situation where I get to see children at all ages and levels right now, and it's kind of cool. Because, like I said, I've got a 1-year-old. We also got a 6-year-old in the house. Then we've got an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Let me ask you this then.
All. Uh-huh.
Since you have kids and you also coach youth basketball, do you have some sort of notion what success means to kids today?
Yeah. So the beauty in the success, I don't know about like when it comes to like the YouTube stuff, I don't know. I'm guessing it means views, but honestly, I haven't spent enough time in any of that world to know. But I
Yeah,
can talk
even
to you about
without
the sports
YouTube.
world. The
Yeah,
sports world,
just naturally,
it's
what do they think about it? Like,
it's
what
the
is
exact
success to
same
them?
thing that we had. Winning,
Hmm.
winning. And it's the one thing that we connect over. Winning. I
People
always
like
tell my
winners.
I always tell my team, I don't give a good flying fuck how you get there if we win. If you want to run the play to the left side, run the goddamn play to the left. Run it to the left side. If it still gets me 2 points at the end of it, I don't care how you do it, right? Well, can I set the screen and maybe James can bring the ball up the court and then he passes the G up? That's fine. No, we don't have to run the play because I made the play. I made the play to score, and y'all just want to, like, you know what I mean? So, like, ultimate goal success is winning. And so you can do all the right things. You could play, if we play say we play a 6-game tournament, we blow teams out in all the first 5 games, and then we lose the championship game by 1 point. We failed. The whole tournament's a failure. Not just to me,
To
to
them,
them. They're
right? Yeah.
done. They're done. Forget the 5 games that we dominated. And it's like, if you think about it, if you take a step back, you played 6 games and you dominated 99% of the time. You know what I mean?
Right. But that makes sense in like in a sports field. But what about like
Yeah.
like your everyday children? Do they talk like any
Oh,
worries, any like success talk, or like, hey, any future talk? I guess what's next? Do they have a
future.
reflection from the same thing as the sports kids do?
I think it's the same but different. So like it depends on like what they're into. So all of the younger crowd is they're into YouTube, period, and gaming. Like that's their basketball for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so for them, it's views and subscribers. Like if you were to if you asked me to name my favorite NBA player, I could tell you his name, how many points he averages a game, how many championships, this and that. Ask them about their favorite YouTubers. They're gonna tell
Mm.
you the name, how many subscribers he has, and about how many views each video gets. They know it. Like stats. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's similar with that. It's like I don't think it's about the content. Because I'm sure there's YouTubers out there putting out genius, like beautiful, perfect content, even if it's just playing the games and they're funny and this and that. But for some reason, it's not getting the numbers. The
Hmm.
majority of the people would look in that world would look at that like, it's not successful.
But are kids really focusing on the numbers at 10, 11 years old? Are they really that in tuned
They
about
are
like
they are
stats?
focusing on numbers at 6 years old.
That's crazy.
6 years old.
But I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's like they just see it as a popularity contest with the
I
world
think
and they just
that's
want a
what it
piece of
is.
that.
I think it's what it is. It also, YouTube might be the first thing that they were encouraged to participate in the world,
Hmm.
right? It's nowhere else is there an even playing field. Not at
Right.
school. You can't go out and get a job and make money, but you have an even playing field with a 40-year-old on YouTube if you're 5 years old and you're funny. My daughter, that's 1, watches some little girl play with mini toys. That girl is probably 6 years old.
Right.
That girl
Yeah.
has probably 11 million subscribers, and my daughter's a fan. You can put that girl up against the most successful podcaster, person that goes live on YouTube, and he can be a 35-year-old man, and she stands above him. You see what I mean? And I believe this is the first arena where that's like a thing, so it matters differently to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe it's also a part of that gaming culture. It's just a game. And
So
in
are we
every game, you try to have
so
more numbers than the others, you know?
yeah, so are we creating, or has it already been done, that YouTube is our youth's role model? Would you say
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
fair?
Yeah, it's already been done.
That's crazy, huh? That's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
a
done.
YouTube is the youth's role models for today's
Yeah.
age.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's Yeah, it is,
That's a
man. It is.
trip. And just think, like, when you watch YouTube videos too, at least in the past, you get stuck in this YouTube rabbit hole. Just
Yep.
think about, our kids getting stuck in that YouTube rabbit hole and what that does.
hmm And I've never been. I'm thinking back through like all the kids, like because I told you I have a wide age range, and
Yeah.
all of them they turn to YouTube, bro. Like YouTube is it for them. And like, and all the way down to my 1 year old, like I said, she religiously watches this little girl play with mini toys, and she'll sit there for an hour and watch the whole video. Disney can't keep her like that, but that little girl on YouTube can. And it ain't like the girl got professional cameras. It's like mommy shooting it on iPhone, bro. Like, it's, you know what I mean? But it's like it just, I don't know what it is with this YouTube stuff, like, but it's their thing. And it could be like, I think we just had TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
We
Especially
had TV.
BET late night. That helped. A little rabbit hole for us.
Yes, sir. Boy, you just took me back. Man, that stuff didn't come on to about 1 in the morning. That BET Uncut.
Yeah.
Listen, that's the first time I found out who Pharrell and NERD was. They had the Rockstar video on there. Girls with their full tits
Dun,
out.
dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Done.
Full tits out. That's the first time. And so listen, I recorded it on VHS, right? And I
Hmm.
remember going to school and telling, it might have been Corey, either Corey or Jordan. I was like, listen, there's this black kid, but he's got like a fucking rock band. It's like rock music, but black people. But anyways, the girls in there, they had the tits out. He's like, where did you get the video? I was like, no. It comes on BET. I had all my friends watching BET Uncut.
Right. I
All
know. I
of
remember
them.
watching Nelly's Tip Drill, and I love the song, love the video. But then I
Hey.
realized the uncut came on. I was like, "What is this? I've already seen this." I was like, "Oh, titties
No, it's
everywhere, bubble
different.
bath, and oh, what?"
Yes, man. Yes. Oh boy. And you
And you know
know they
what?
find this shit like that on YouTube right now.
Oh yeah,
Bruh, come on. Yes. Damn, that's crazy.
it is crazy. That's probably we got hypersexualized as growing up.
We
Fucking
definitely
like,
did.
yeah, just fucking
Especially
horn dogs and shit like that, just walking
for
around.
me, it was the music. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
I say that because like again, the timing of our generation and when rap became big, like it couldn't be kids at the time. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
when we as kids got into hip hop, it's the early 90s. And
Yes.
so my favorite rapper at the time is Nas, and he's 19. He's a kid in my eye. You know what I mean? Like at the time
Yeah.
he's an adult, but he's rapping about not kid things. And so like I believe music is so visionary, right?
Hmm.
It can, I believe it's still one of the most powerful muses on this earth.
True.
I
Facts.
I can't live without it. There's nothing I don't there's ever. So we're kids in the 90s, right? And I don't I don't know about like your upbringing with your family and stuff, but being around drug dealers and users, you know what I mean? Hearing it portrayed in the music made it very real for me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I had family members that was on drugs and family members that dealt in drugs. So like that hearing these stories, that shit was real to me. No, I understand this because like yes, my aunt's crackhead. So yeah, I know I get it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And
And
so
the
that
role model, and that hence the role model that you had. What was
bingo.
his damn name?
Tucker.
All right, not
He
Pookie. That's
yo,
what I was not thinking. All right.
you say Pookie?
I was gonna say Pookie right off the bat, just because I was just
Yeah.
like,
Nah, listen. And when I was younger, yo,
yeah,
my man had a Jerry curl, but he had it faded on the side like Big Daddy Kane. Though this he was the illest nigga I knew, right? But like
right,
he passed away like 4 or 5 years ago, which was crazy. And then like his building's like a piece of trash now and everything. But anyways, yeah, man, like the music that we had was so was so big and was so legendary that I think
It
that
dictated our lives, and then the people
everything.
within it would try to be the reflection of that. Now today with YouTube and all these stars in it, naturally the human brain's going to just mimic that as well.
Yeah,
And so I think as us in this platform as well, we have to try to embody a positive reflection towards the youth, because and this is why we're starting to be on YouTube, because if anybody's going to speak to the youth, we got to stop all these fucking, gaming videos. I mean, do what you got to do and like what you like, but I think besides the BT late night, if there was a different channel on there spitting some real shit to us like we really needed to hear, that could have
yeah.
impacted our lives differently as well.
So
And so,
you met me in my rap life, right?
yeah.
And the funny thing about that was I had always been my uncles was really into music too. And like one of the greatest gifts I ever got in my lifetime was when my uncle gave me his record collection. You remember all the records I had, the ones that
Yep.
was on the walls, right?
Yep.
And so at the studio or whatever. So I never thought about rapping until my actual life started to imitate some of the things I had heard in music. Then I thought I was justified. Like I didn't write my first rap until I remember this specific night. Me, my friend Casey, he actually owns a art gallery now, Cardinal House Studios, right? He could back me up on this one. We rode, we was selling weed to white boys. And it was the first time I had ever seen weed, bro. I was like 12, about to be 13. We had to ride our bikes across town to sell it. And like I felt like I was moving 30 kilos of heroin. Really, we just had like it's maybe 4 ounces of marijuana, right?
Right.
Nothing big, but not big, right? And so like riding back across town with money in my pocket at 13 years old, I felt like expressing that moment, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like I'm pretty sure I think I wrote a verse over Gangster's Paradise beat.
Ooh, okay.
I
Damn, you
swear to
you be
God,
feeling
bro.
hot. Boy, you
Listen
feeling
to
hot.
me, and I'm still my man's on Instagram too. Casey, he can vouch for all of this shit, right? We sat behind the house my grandma lives in right now, and was just like, man, we living the life, bro. Like we was cooling, and for the first time, my actual life and the things I was doing reflected the music. So I dabbled with it for the first time. And then the next summer, my life was just blown wide open. The summer I turned 14, I was out in the streets. I was out there. That's the
Right.
first time I had sex. My mom had moved to Indiana. I didn't have nobody watching me for a long period of time. And then my cousin Shavanica moved in with me and she was supposed to be watching me. But
Wrong.
I'm 14, she's 20. She's 20. Her boyfriend, Draper, moves in. We called him the Birdman because he was dealing drugs, right? He called
Yep.
me Birdman Jr. At the time, that's who I was looking up to.
Oh yeah. There's the role models right there. Yeah.
Bruh, the day I remember the first day he called me, he said, hey, we was at the school because I got in trouble for skipping school. And the principal said something to me, and he had come to pick me up because Shavanica was in Nashville. And he's like, hey, you don't talk to the Birdman Jr. like that. It was the worst thing ever. You couldn't tell me nothing after that. But like, I'm having sex. I'm I'm dealing with people that are dealing drugs, people that are using drugs. I want to rap, nigga,
Yeah.
because this was the I felt like it was the natural order of things. That's how strong the music had been on me since I was like 8, 9, listening to Illmatic. Crazy.
That is
It's
crazy. The
crazy,
natural
bro.
order.
Music.
It makes
Oh
so
my
much
god.
sense. And it's just like with this whole era and today, this natural order, it's almost like we don't quite know what it's going to turn into, you know?
Yeah.
What is it going to create for the youth today? But I I think it's going to create a lot less drug dealers and rappers. I'll tell you that.
It's that's true because even if you look at if we stick to the music and you look
Yeah.
at how music changed over the last 10 years
Yep.
and how like these kids the musicians they're looking up to are dead. They're overdosing
Yeah.
uh, or in committing suicide. God rest their soul and stuff. Like I don't mean to get like deep into that, but like they're junkies. They
Yeah.
started rapping about glorifying the drugs. We glorified the drug dealers, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to be drug dealers. I wanted to be a drug dealer because I thought this is how you become the man. And there's only two sides to this. So if I'm not drug dealing, I'm gonna end up drug using. I don't want that. They look like junkies. He has a Cadillac, right?
Yeah.
These kids, they started hearing music about popping pills when they were 9 and 8 years old. I didn't
Yep.
hear that kind of stuff. I We was trying to sell crack, like not use it because that wasn't cool. And it's
Yep.
like it's accepted. How many pills are they popping this shit? And I'm like, yo, no, 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 no. Like you're looking up to these guys. They're overdosing. They're dying. They're 20. They're 19. I
Yeah.
don't think this is the way. But then maybe it's just not my way, right? Maybe it is their way. Because like these are the times we can't expect times to change and like the way things are done not to. It's just it's one of the things I do think about a lot. I'm glad the conversation got to this point because man,
No, yeah, I think kids see that today and they see these young artists dying. And I think they'd learn real quick. They're like, oh shit, not that. And I think what's taken over is like more of this like synchronized dance move type thing. So like
yeah.
almost like an early 80s, like kind of like the Tootsie Roll era, but this new age Tootsie Roll type thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I
I
think
think
those
the key
rappers that overdose were idolizing their rappers that they looked up to, who
yeah.
like was just smoking weed, doing this and doing that, acting crazy, partying, drinking up time. Kids are just like overdosed too much, trying to idolize that, and just got fucked. It's crazy.
I
But hopefully,
think the
kids are
thing
smarter.
I try to I do get worried about like just the influence that my children has. Like the influences like their the music, the YouTube and things like that. As a parent, you worry about those things. Even though I will admit it's at a small scale, right? Only thing I can do and that I try to do to combat it is that I'm very honest about my past with them, right? And
Definitely.
so it presents a different side. So like when they're like, if they ask me, "Oh, you like such and such? You heard this song?" I'm like, "Yeah, he was nice. He sounds like a fucking junkie though." I wasn't a junkie. Like it's just little things that I try to be honest about, like even the mistakes that I made in the past, just to make sure that I'm presenting them with both sides. Because I don't know that they're getting both sides on YouTube and in the music. So I feel like it's my job to show them, hey, yes, this may be his truth, but it doesn't have to be your truth because no one ever told me that, right? I thought it was the natural order of things. No one ever told me, hey, that shit could just be music, right?
Right. Eh,
Crack just rhymed with black, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
no one really told me that. Like, this could just be, this isn't, it could not be real, just a story for entertainment. Like, here's the truth of what's going to end up happening. You're not going to be the world's most successful drug dealer that got away. It's not going to happen. No one ever
Yeah.
told me that, right? Like, and then it's like, so I just try to. I think it's our responsibility to present them with both sides of the story, and I try to do that as often as I can. Like,
No.
tell
Yeah.
them these are the bad things that can happen. So,
Awareness and
like,
perception.
you're gonna take a calculated risk. I support risk takers, but I just need you to be aware of everything that's out there, and and just hope they're listening.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
about all
sense.
you can do. And then I just hope they're listening. And it's I give adults the same advice too, because as we kind of touched on last week with the COVID bringing the entrepreneurial spirit out in a lot of people and friends and stuff, and running my own business, when people do ask me for advice, I usually lead with my mistakes on purpose,
Definitely.
just because I don't want them. The internet is like, I don't know, rap music used to be, mixtape culture. Everyone's hot. Oh, the internet will have you thinking everybody's making money. Oh yeah, they made money on day one, and it's like maybe some do, but like more than likely you're gonna have to put in some time on this. It's gonna take a little time to do this, this, and that. But that is possible. And like you just need to make sure that you're aware that like it may not work overnight for you. And like so really think about if this is something that you want to devote your time to. Cause if it doesn't immediately work, are you gonna just quit? And if that's the case, then my advice to you is probably don't do this, because there's a better chance of it not working ASAP than of it working ASAP. You know what I mean?
No,
And
definitely. But I think I'd be okay with somebody just trying something, even if they quit, as long as they tried something else right afterwards and not gave
so
up on
that's
it.
well that's the thing. I think most people wouldn't try something else, right? They're like, oh, yeah, making money on the internet. So you can't do that. I tried. And so that's what I mean by like, hey, if you're gonna be if it's gonna bother you that it didn't work, maybe that ain't for you. Because
Right.
I just don't want them to have. I don't like the idea that their time would be wasted either, right? Because
Okay.
like I believe this shit's not for everybody. And like maybe if someone would have been honest with you from the jump, you wouldn't have wasted your time, or you would have doubled down and realized that maybe it's something you just don't want, you know,
No,
because everyone's selling stuff on the internet. And these
and
people that are trying to
it's
teach you
true.
to do these things, they're selling this idea on you. And I'm like, yes, it sounds great. That's what it's supposed to sound like. That's the marketing. But like, are you sure this is something that you want? If you want it and it sounds great, run for it. Let's do this. But if you just want it because it sounds great, you see what I mean? You see the difference in
Definitely.
that?
Yeah, but I
Then
would
it's
also
like,
add like not just the internet and just bringing back when you asked me about working the weekends. I think
yes,
eventually I figured out the value of my time. And it was like, I know I'm going to die one day. And so my time is like infinitely matters to me, even every second, every minute, every day. And so it's just like valuing your time where I get dictated by somebody else to, you know, do something else that I don't get to decide. But eventually, if I'm filling an application and get a job, then I'm deciding. So, but I love that you say, you know, you have to figure out your time. And then if you're going to try something, it's okay to pivot. And this is what we're actually doing with our time, which started a couple of years ago.
yes.
And that's just brilliant. And it's one of those
I mean,
things.
I've pivoted off pivots.
Yeah.
You know me. I always say it. I'm not romantic about how I make my money.
Yeah.
If I was wrong, I'm wrong. Let's try something else. I'm
As long
wrong.
as
Let's try
you
something
make your
else.
own money. Yeah.
Exactly. I like to be in control of my destiny. Even if it's gonna crash and burn, I want to be the pilot.
Right. So, what's a piece of advice that you can leave the kids off today? You know, for National Youth Confidence Day, what's a piece of advice that you can give out the youth out there that's listening and peeping in?
The best thing I can tell you about confidence is that you have to have the easiest way to get confidence in the thing that you need it in the most is to put confidence into the things that you have to try the least, right? So you have to be confident in everything that you do. So like I was confident that I could make a living, right? But I wasn't exactly confident in the actual practicality of going about my business. I didn't know how to do it, right? But every single day I wake up and I'm thinking, if someone did it, I can do it, right? But it's not just about that super big goal that you have. I walk with confidence. I talk with confidence. I enter every room with respect and confidence. I try to never let a moment be bigger than my confidence. And that doesn't mean you have to be arrogant, and that doesn't mean you have to have the answers. Have the confidence to stop. Sometimes you have to have the confidence to just stop and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know what that means. I don't know what this is. Let's slow this thing down. That's confidence as well. But if you have that in everything and you practice confidence,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a part of who you are.
That is it.
I'm confident in my relationship. I'm confident in my business. I'm confident in my friendships. And I'm confident with strangers. But confidence starts with self awareness. And that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day because we're running out of time tonight. But the two kind of go hand in hand.
It does.
What about you?
I would say with confidence that you kind of have to trust in yourself and whatever you do. And you kind of said a key word for me being, being a practitioner of whatever you're going to do next. And so you kind of have to accept who you are and what you want to do next. So I would just say if you're young in age and you don't quite know what you're doing, it's just because you have not practiced anything yet. Find something you love to do, practice it, and then confidence gets built up on that trust within yourself by you trusting yourself that I know how to do this with my eyes closed. It's like learning, just know English, you just know it. I'm confident to speak out loud. Why? Because I know these words. So same thing,
Yes.
everything you do. I would say follow your heart and keep trying. And if you don't like it, keep trying again until you're like, this is it. And you're going to feel that fire burning inside of you. And you're going to have confidence within yourself to do that to the maximum ability that you can. And say, just, you're going to die one day. and, and I love Gary V reminded me that as well. And so I
Hmm.
love like taking that wholesome attitude of like humility of like, this this is what we have to experience right now. Do it. Have fun with it. I love hitting the red button in life. Sometimes when I'm unprepared for it with lack of confidence, but sometimes it pays off in the long run and
Like
there's
this
just trying
podcast.
anything. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And it sounds great just to put it out there.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I'm ready. I think we should wrap it up for this week. A little bit over an hour now. Um, anything you need to say, you want to say, get out there. I'll start actually. I'll say something.
Okay.
The you can fi- listeners, you really want to help us out, especially with this being a new show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and rate and review us. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and hit subscribe. Both of them will then give you alerts of new episodes. But when you like and when you review us, it kind of it plays really well with those algorithms. And then it, lets them know who we are and it tries to put us in front of people that they think would ultimately like us, which would grow our tribe tremendously. And we can continue to do, these great things. If you're on Instagram, you can find us at Cloud Conversations Pod on Instagram, right? Cloud Conversations Pod. We're also on YouTube as well with Cloud Conversations. If you follow the Instagram, you'll see the actual links to these things. I'm going to be working to get more stuff kind of concrete and flowing freely, but I just wanted to get that out there. You can follow us at Cloud Conversations Pod on Instagram. This week, I don't even know if Floriano knows this. The first part of the show, I was actually live on Instagram. So we'll work
That's
out some ways to kind of do that fun. But yeah, definitely go follow Cloud Conversations Pod. Um, that's all I got, man. What's up?
Yeah, that's it. I would say, if you resonate with us, we'd love to hear your feedback. Hit that like button and subscribe. I got just two human beings kind of mind jamming of years of getting to know each other to the max effect with an open perspective. And this is what Cloud Conversations is all about. Join us in the cloud and hit us up next week and see what's good. Thanks for listening.